Hey, have you ever bought something and then upon reaching home, you realize that that thing is defective? You try to reach out to the seller and the seller told you basically goods once sold are not returnable. I'm pretty sure if you have, this really hurt you because the fault wasn't with you, it was with the seller. But they forced you to buy a particular item. That is about to change in Kenya because, guys, there is a lot that speaks to this. And then beyond that, another piece of awesome news around business today is that going forward, Twitter will not be free for big firms and also government agencies because you know what? They're gonna fork hundreds of thousands in Kenya shillings for them to be able to maintain that Twitter blue. Let's talk about all these. My name is Afagza Sifuna, and you are all much welcomed to the Money Daily YouTube channel. By the way, guys, if you're new here, kindly consider subscribing. Hapo chini, finya that button called subscribe and also that with a thumbs up, meaning you'll be liking this video. Having said that, today in the business world in Kenya, one of the standout pieces of news was about unemployment. This is quite disturbing, and reason being, unemployment has actually reached a peak high. Reason being, based on the data out just yesterday, we're talking about 2.97 million people in Kenya being unemployed. Guys, this is quite a huge number. Thinking about it, these are adults out there who have families, who have responsibilities, and yet they don't have a means of actually earning their daily living. This tells you the ripple effect is very dire because there are children, other people out there are not also able to benefit from that flow of money. And this is a very big problem. Reason being, if a country has almost 3 million people unemployed, this tells you actually we are struggling as a country, and a good number of people in the country are not able to put food in their tables, put food on their plates, which is quite a disturbing scenario. And this tells us something. If you are, for example, quite fortunate to have employment, you should be thinking about how you can possibly diversify your sources of income. Because, guys, just from a blink of an eye, you could go from being employed to unemployed regardless how much you're earning. So think about diversifying your money, how you're making your money. And hopefully over time, even if someone, for example, tells you are fired from your formal job, you can even continue doing your other businesses out there. So regardless the amount of money you're earning, think about apportioning some of it to savings or even using some of it to start your own business. And hopefully over time, things are going to be good. And then the second piece of news, which I talked to you about in the intro, is a news around refund and repair of defective goods. Guys, you know what? There is exciting development in Kenya. In essence, it is a bill which is actually called the Consumer Protection Amendment Bill of 2023. This is an amendment to a law which has been there for almost 10 plus years. The Consumer Protection Act, which has been in existence since 2012, is actually being amended. And at the center of it is thinking how consumers out there can be protected. And by the way, this I think is a very, very awesome development. Reason being, I'm pretty sure you know of a seller out there who most likely conned at a particular point in time. You bought something which was it was actually defective from all angles and you hadn't even used it. And they tried to return to the seller told you goods once sold are not returnable. All these guys is actually bound to change because this law is actually aiming to put in place the part the consumers for them to be able to actually be able to either be able to return the goods from these people are selling them defective goods, or secondly, get the monies to repair these goods from those particular sellers. And in fact, this bill is proposing also the owners of confirming that actually this good wasn't really defective to rest with the seller. Of course, at the moment, the owner is for the buyer to confirm that this good is defective and it actually came from the seller. But I think with this bill, it's also just enhancing responsibility from the side of the seller too, so that you as a buyer, you are not conned, right? And then guys, the third piece of news which comes from the business world today is that going forward, Twitter will no longer be free. With regards to those people who really cherish that Twitter blue, the blue tick, in essence, verification on Twitter, this isn't gonna continue being free. And this so because Twitter is gonna be charging quite an awesome amount of money. And I mean it, guys. Think about it. 132,000 Kenya shillings per month for firms out there and also government agencies out there to pay to be able to be verified and remain Twitter blue. Guys, this is a big piece of news, and I'm pretty sure a good number of businesses out there, unless it is a very big firm in the country actually making billions of profits annually, won't really be able to sustain this because it's an unforeseen item in their budget, and also the ties to the outcome of maybe the turnover of customers and so forth isn't clear for many businesses out there. So I'm pretty sure a good number of businesses out there won't be able really to afford this, but this, be rest assured, is bound to make Elon Musk a multi-billionaire. Of course, we know already he is among the richest people in the world. But now with this, he's gonna be able to skyrocket his net worth to even, guys, I think he can easily bypass $500 billion US. And then, guys, a fourth piece of news I want to share with you is news with regards to the middle class in Kenya struggling. Also, another piece of news that came out today in the business world is that there is statistics which are quite interesting. And this so because a good number of middle class in the city are not really actually driving their cars. Yes, they have cars, but they have parked these cars at home. Reason being, the cost of fuel is increasing day in, day out. And also, they have realized that the increasing cost of life is also having a toll on them. So the bargain is, are you going to buy, for example, diesel? Are you going to buy petrol? Or are you going to put food on your plate? It is a simple analogy. But the thing is, statistics indicate that in aggregate, actually, we're seeing a huge drop with regards to the total amount of money spent on this fuel, whether it's diesel or even petrol. Because we're talking about it dropping substantially. And this tells you that despite the number of cars in the country increasing in the recent years, even though the last 1 year also, the number of cars purchased by Kenyans has slightly dipped, this still will have commanded for the market to be able to consume more fuel. But this is not happening. It's telling you that actually people out there are suffering. They aren't able to afford fuel as they used to afford before with the increase in the cost of living. And that's why a good number of people who own cars are actually having them parked at home. Quite interesting. And then the fifth and the last piece of news which I want to discuss with you guys is that in Nairobi and also other major towns in the country, we're seeing the hotels and restaurant businesses out there taking a hit. And a key analogy to put out there in the business news is that we saw, for example, the Hilton Hotel, which is actually one of the most iconic buildings in Nairobi, closed down a few months ago. Prior to that, about a year before, we saw Intercontinental Hotel closed down. Reason being, actually they aren't getting customers as they used to get before. And of course, with more and more hotels coming up in this particular sector, it actually meant this spelled disaster for them because they couldn't maintain their original clientele, which was actually also a headache. And even, guys, we saw just at the height of COVID thereabout, we saw a good number of hotels in the city actually close and even some opened up later on. For example, Radisson Blu in Upper Hill shut down for some time and then it opened up thereafter. This tells you this industry things are quite tough too. And of course, the competition is going to continue getting tough over time as consumers out there change their consumption habits and even businesses out there reduce more and more on frequent physical meetings because they're actually going online using Zoom, WebEx, you name it. So this tells you business in this sector is actually going to continue being stringent over time. What do you all think about this business information I've shared with you today? These are some of the exciting pieces of news I picked, which I thought I'd share with you. I hope you found them quite exciting and have also enlightened you on what is happening out there. Thanks a lot for watching. I look forward to share with you other awesome videos next time. Bye bye and you all take care.